So I had spoke with New Shoreham last week, and they did return my call. I was busy with something else last week, something more important. So I listened to the message from New Shoreham and returned their call today. So it was Beth Russo, in case anybody wants to know. I guess she's some kind of a director down there. And when I explained who I was, she said, the chief is trying to get in touch with you. So I said, okay. And she said, Mrs. Farinelli, can you hold so I can get you connected with the chief? So I did speak with the chief. He did call the Attorney General's office with my concerns. He did explain to me that he was not the chief when James BAINO was hired. And I understand it. He's protecting, his reputation, because they were well aware of the problems in Pawtucket before James became a problem down in New Shoreham. So I get the hesitation, and I get the, not wanting to admit that they should have fucking taken it serious. But anyway, so I asked him I had asked him, if he let the Attorney General's office know, what I was calling about. And he said yes. And I asked him if he reached out to Pawtucket. And he said no. So I informed him that Pawtucket knows. Pawtucket has known. The Attorney General's office has James BAINO's legit email. My concern is for the community, and I know that the trial starts tomorrow, felony indictment. I told him that at any point he could call Frank Milos, and I'm sure Frank Milos can let him know that there is a connection. James BAINO did call for people to come to my home. James BAINO did meet in the substation to plan their attack. And Tina was well aware of it. And the mayor in the city of Pawtucket, his response was to stay safe. Stay safe. So, I explained to him, nothing was done. And it's pretty much, hey, let's get rid of our bad police officer so that, make him somebody else's problem, right? Then he went and he worked under Nappy Gonzalez and Bob DeSilva. So I don't know if that was going to be a short stay anyway, just to, I don't know, to give him a good recommendation. I don't think they gave him a good recommendation though. But I don't think that anybody does that, right? I don't think that only to firemen, right? Only to firemen do we call where they're applying, or when they call to find out what kind of an employee that person is. That's when they bash them. But it doesn't happen with police officers. Tina can act like, oh, it was such a public safety issue, with recreational weed use, which I don't even know if they were all actually engaging in any kind of recreational at-home weed use. I have no idea. But I do know that the public safety was in danger with James BAINO. So, I know that they're cautious, and I know that, they're trying to gather information so that they know what they're facing. So I would hope that after the phone call from the chief to the Attorney General's office, that the Attorney General's office reached out to Pawtucket, because I think that needs to be seen for what it is. Now, the second part of this is, I think that James BAINO's pension should be taken. I don't think that that's not even questionable. His bad behavior, him leaving as retired. We know that he didn't leave as retired. We also know that I'm going to be, Monday we're going for the speedy trial, and Frank Milos isn't going to be able to skate around the whole Turtle Boy Sports thing, because he knew all about it. So not only does James BAINO put hands on people, he also calls for other people to harm people. So that's how this morning went. I know it's Wednesday. We have been dealing with a medical issue that had to take precedent. But tomorrow, as long as I know that everybody is aware, and I was able to pull up, and it's on my Facebook, where I asked New Shoreham if they hired James BAINO, if they were aware that he was a problem, and there was no response. And then after he assaulted that person, that's when I wrote back and said, I guess you learned the hard way. We all do, right? We all learn the hard way, right, Tina? The same thing with the Dolan situation. Ignore, and then it explodes in your face. So I think that the bigger thing here is, exposing it. Frank Milos had asked me for a settlement agreement that would include not disclosing anything. And, it was non-disclosure, and we're never going to admit we did wrong. You don't have to. Your involvement alone, and documented proof, you don't have to admit you did wrong. I'm proving that you did wrong. So I look forward to the jury trial that I've asked for. I think that we really need to take our city back in the way that it makes the citizens safe in this city. So, when I list the names of the people that were well aware of what James BAINO did in the city of Pawtucket, I mean, you expect, some co-workers to cover it. Brian Beach was involved. He's still working down there, I think. But you start looking at Tina. Tina was involved in that. She gave the okay for them to meet over at the substation. You look at Don Grebien. He's the mayor telling me to stay safe while his police department is doing this. Come on. Really? Huh. This is how the mayor in the city of Pawtucket acts. And then when you have somebody like an attorney, a city solicitor, that's well aware of his clients doing stuff like this, I think that we should look at all the cover-ups that Frank Milos has done, because he obviously covers it up. But I did, I let the New Shoreham know that there's an email that proves it all. There's well-documented stuff between the Attorney General's office and the state police. There's well-documented, we can even go with the testimony of Frank Milos. We can go there. So anyway, I hope everybody has a great day as James BAINO puts his suit on tomorrow. I hope he realizes that he deserves all of it for his actions, and that this isn't where it ends, because I am going to be calling for his pension to be taken. So have a great day. I welcome exposing all of it. We'll go from there.